Hello again, everyone. I'm Richard Weil, and I'm the principal and CEO of National Restaurant Consultants. And we welcome you to the NRC Helpful Moment number 52. And today we're joined again by our good friend and president of Top Line Management, Mr. Brian Devine, CafeFuel. And Mark Valente is our featured guest today, who is a real estate broker for Sanborn & Company, who is really the leading food service and hospitality industry restaurant real estate group in the entire Front Range of Colorado. And Mark comes from the pedigree of the food service and hospitality industry, a past chairman of the board of the Colorado Restaurant Association, and an expert in food service and hospitality. So Mark, welcome. We're glad to have you.
Oh, did we lose Mark's audio?
We might have.
Oh,
okay. Welcome.
I'm not hearing a thing Richard's saying, though.
Okay, so Richard, we're having that weird issue where Mark can hear me and not you. So I will translate. Welcome, Mark. Richard just said nothing but wonderful things about you.
Well, thank you.
Okay.
I've known Richard a long time.
Yes, we have. So Mark, the question that Brian will relay to you is, as restaurateurs pivot to reopening their restaurant, what type of additional communication should they be having with their landlords right now?
All right, so Mark, the question is, as we're starting to reopen, what's the conversation that the restaurant owners should be having with their landlords?
Well, number one, people have already had some conversations, I would hope, by now, and it's really one of your most important partnerships is with your landlord as a restaurant operator, as that's one of the costs you cannot control. You can control labor and food costs, but that rent and taxes and triple net expenses are there all the time. So it's really a partnership, and I think you need to treat it as such. And you have to be honest and open. You got to talk to him as another business person,
Right?
Because believe me, they probably have some of the same stress you do. A lot of the landlords have debt. They have a mortgage company. They're paying debt just like you're trying to pay the rent. And you are their sales. So we're the customer. Restaurant owner's the customer of that landlord, just like in a restaurant, we got people coming in for food and beverage. First thing is to communicate. And I think if I've spent a lot of time the last 7-8 weeks talking to tenants and landlords and customers and people I've done deals with and sold their restaurants. And there's been a few that have gotten very little cooperation or communication from a landlord. One thing you need to do is document all the communication. So
Right.
if a landlord agrees to, defer some rent or only have you pay the net expenses or whatever avenue you choose to do that, you need to document it and you need to get it in writing. So a good way, even after a phone call, is to kind of Mirandarize that phone call in an email and ask them to respond that, do you agree with how our phone call just went? Get it in writing. If you need to get an attorney, do so. Another important thing is you really need to know your own lease. So review your own lease, talk about some of those things. If there's things you don't understand, consult your attorney. The next thing is really how we're in this together. How are we both going to be successful? And I think just like you want customers in the door, he wants to get the rent paid.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Are we seeing any rent renegotiated or possibly pivoting over to more percent rents so that you've got some at least base rent and obviously the triple net's being paid, but as we reopen with 25 or 50% capacity, that landlords are open to think about a percent rent, which normally we don't like, but now might be a good idea.
The question is, are you starting to see some maybe percentage of rent as opposed to full rent based on the fact that they're not able to fully open?
I haven't had that experience in the people I've talked to. Most of it in these early 2 months have been deferred or paying the triple net expenses, but that would be a suggestion of mine, is to pay percentage of sales, or if you're only open to 50% capacity, maybe a percentage of that capacity can be paid. Landlords for sure want to get their triple net expenses paid, the taxes, insurance, and common area maintenance. That's money out of their pocket. So that's the first thing to kind of attack with your landlord, so that he's not coming out of pocket. He then has to pay his mortgage if he has debt. Um, if he's a larger landlord, he's got a staff of people, clerical people, accounting people. He still has bills just like you do. So you need to come to an agreement. And I think a percentage rent is a good way to go.
Very nice.
Is it something that you as a real estate, I'm sorry.
Go ahead and ask your question, Richard.
Oh, is Richard back there?
Yeah.
Yeah. So is there something as a real estate professional that you would say to the folks listening out there, contact your professional realtor, and a realtor who understands commercial real estate and specifically hospitality, because right now advice is out there, but you want to make sure you're getting advice from somebody who really understands and can really help direct you with some information.
Mark, how can you sort of help guide the listeners today on making sure that they're talking to the right real estate professional to give them the right advice and move them in the right direction with everything that's going on?
Well, first of all, you always need to have an attorney, because they're the one that's going to control that legal document. But Sanborn and Company, we work with landlords, we work with tenants. We are full service commercial brokerage firm, but our niche is the hospitality industry, bars, restaurants, liquor stores, nightclubs, and that kind of thing. So we deal with a lot of different things in a lease, and give you advice that regular retail customers don't have: liquor licensing, patios,
Right.
percentage rent, um, just a lot of those different type of things. And so I think a company like ours is a good choice. We've got a lot of experience here at the company. I've been here about 17 years. Sean Sanborn's, I don't know exactly how long the company's been around, but probably about 25 years. Mark Thomas in our office been here probably a good 12, 15 years, and he is the only one without a hospitality background, but he is an attorney by trade. So while he doesn't wear that attorney hat, he's got good advice and people we can always bounce things off of. We've got some newer brokers, David Zaradnik and Nick Gaultier, both chefs in the Denver area for a long time. And then our newest broker, Jason Forgy, has a really strong background in the brewing industry. Owned a restaurant and bar here that was really prominent in their kind of craft beer selections, and he's going to kind of work in the whole brew pub and brewery industry or segment of our firm.
Nice.
So we've got a lot of experts in different areas.
Well, thank you, Mark. Brian, do you have a couple of thoughts on some marketing today?
Yeah, real quick, because Mark, obviously when he first started talking, it was about communicating, right? Hopefully you have already communicated with your landlord, right? So let's take that step further with your marketing. And I want you to also be thinking that communicating to your market is one step, but communicating to your list, to the people that have already raised their hand and say, we like you, that is where the real value is. And that's why some of the restaurants, the larger firms that have huge lists, they're not suffering like a lot of the smaller shops. So build your list. Build it today, build it now. I mean, the best time to build your list is 2 years ago, but if you can't do that, start today. So please, please, please build your list. If you have questions about how to do it, reach out to us. We are happy to answer any questions that you have and help you get that process started. All right, and that's all I have for today.
And we've got clients from Virginia to California to Colorado and in between that are helping with this process that CafeFuel Top Line Management can do. So I don't think I've got anything else for today. You might ask, does Mark have anything else?
Mark, is there anything else you want to add before we round off?
I think kind of going back to just 2 points about that being a partnership, the last thing your landlord wants is empty space and you're not paying rent. Even if you're not paying rent now, you plan to in the future, and knowing your lease well, talking to an attorney, and talk on a business level, not in a threatening way, because that can hurt you in the long run. So being face to face, document, memorialize things, and try and work it out so it but you can be there for a long-term tenant and he can have somebody long-term paying rent because he doesn't want to go remarket it. We don't know what's going to happen in the future. He's going to be paying commissions. Best thing is to work it out. And if we can help a tenant out there or a landlord out there, we're happy to do that. And we're here, and we've got the other thing is the Colorado Restaurant Association has a lot of resources as well, and a good group to reach out to. And Richard and I have been involved with the association for a long time, so we know how valuable they are with different things as well.
Excellent.
That's great advice. And in fact, Mark and I have tag team.
Probably one last thing is hopefully there's going to be some changes with the PPP money, and tenants may have a longer period to pay that back, and hopefully they can find some changes in the percentage that can go to rent. So there may be some relief coming that way, that a larger percentage of that PPP money can go to rent and utilities and things instead of just labor. So hopefully National Restaurant Association has been working on some of those things, lobbying and working on those. So hopefully we've got a little bright news ahead of us. We've had restaurants open yesterday, and people are out in the bars. I saw some good activity and talked to a lot of people that were pretty pleased. So I think we've got a lot of demand out there from cabin fever, and we're all looking to have a adult beverage or something good to eat in a setting we're familiar with.
Excellent.
Well,
Richard, you can close us up?
Yep, that's right.
Pardon me?
So
Richard's going to close us up here.
Okay.
all right, so that's really it for today. Our helpful moment. I want to thank, of course, Brian Devine as always, but Mark Valente. Your information is very invaluable to restaurateurs, even though they've been thinking about these things. If you haven't done it, the key is communications. That's it for today. So long for now. Bye, everyone. Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Goodbye.